Let's take a look at SDG 9 now: industry, innovation, and infrastructure. The underlying principle of this particular SDG is to build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and to foster innovation. Globally, manufacturing has rebounded from the pandemic, but the least developed countries are left behind. You can see from the graph there that the global average there, or the global statistics there, are quite good, but the least developed countries are not rebounding to the same extent. As you might expect, higher technology industries are far more resilient to crisis than the lower tech counterparts, and you can see the statistics developed or indicated there on the manufacturing production index. The passenger airline industry is still struggling to recoup the catastrophic losses that happened as a result of the pandemic. In 2021, there were only 2.3 billion passengers compared to 4.5 billion. I think recent statistics will show that it has improved significantly in this year. And of course, we must also ask ourselves the question about the benefits and disadvantages of the airline industry. An interesting thing to look at later on. Significant source of carbon. Clearly, air travel is necessary, but it's something we will look at in more detail in the following blocks. 1 in 3 manufacturing jobs are negatively affected by the global pandemic. So goal 9 has 8 targets. We shall have a look at these now. Target 9.1: develop quality, reliable, sustainable and resilient infrastructure, including regional and trans-border infrastructure to support economic development and human well-being, focusing on affordable and equitable access for all. The development of infrastructure networks is intimately connected with poverty reduction. How well would we work here in Ireland if we didn't have good infrastructure? So infrastructure and the internet, roads, transport, absolutely essential to reducing and getting rid of poverty. How do we monitor this? Well, the indicators are the proportion of rural population who live within 2 kilometres of an all-season road, and the passenger and freight volumes by mode of transport. Target 9.2: promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and by 2030, significantly raise the industry's share of employment and GDP in line with national circumstances and double its share in the least developed countries. As you can see in many of these goals, the targets set for the least developed countries are significantly higher than the well-developed countries, and appropriately so. So the indicators for this are manufacturing value added as a proportion of GDP and per capita, and manufacturing employment as a proportion of total employment. Target 9.3: increase the access of small-scale industrial and other enterprises, particularly in developing countries, to financial services, including affordable credit, and their integration into value chains and markets. Entrepreneurs need funding to create jobs. It's as simple as that. Value chains may open up opportunities for developing countries to learn from global businesses. The indicators for this target are the proportion of small-scale industries in total industry value added, and proportion of small-scale industries with a loan or line of credit. Target 9.4: by 2030, upgrade infrastructure and retrofit industries to make them sustainable, with increased resource use efficiency and greater adoption of clean and environmentally sound technologies and industrial processes, with all countries taking action in accordance with their respective capabilities. Clearly, retrofitting and improving the energy efficiency of buildings is absolutely essential in the fight against climate change and reducing CO2 emissions. The unit or the indicator for this particular target will be the CO2 emissions per unit of value added. Target 9.5: enhance scientific research, upgrade the technological capacities of industrial sectors in all countries, in particular developing countries, including, by 2030, encouraging innovation and substantially increasing the number of research and development workers per 1 million people, and public and private research and development spending. So clearly a focus there on enhancing scientific capacity and technological capacity. To reach previous targets, researching and upgrading technological capacity is absolutely essential and vital, and we're very fortunate, I think, in Ireland to have had a very focused policy regime over the last 50 years in relation to science foreign direct investment, and upskilling our technology sector, which we will look at in more detail as well, of course, in the relevant module. The indicator for this target is research and development expenditure as a proportion of GDP and the number of researchers per million inhabitants. Target 9A, facilitate sustainable and resilient infrastructure development in developing countries through enhanced financial, technological and technical support to African countries, least developed countries, landlocked developing countries and small island developing states. Again, you see the sort of hierarchy there. It's important to facilitate infrastructure development in all countries, but we need to focus on the ones that need it most. As with other targets, least developed countries and landlocked countries and small islands need to be supported more. The indicator for this is the total official international support to infrastructure. 9B, support domestic technology development, research and innovation in developing countries by ensuring a conducive policy environment for industrial diversification and value addition to commodities. Industrial diversification increases the chances of returns by spreading assets over a wider range of activities, helping to minimize the potential for failure or loss. Technology, research, and innovation can help industry to do this. The indicator for this target is the proportion of medium and high-tech industry value added in total value added. Target 9C, significantly increase access to information and communications technology and strive to provide universal and affordable access to the internet in the least developed countries by 2020. How do you think that's going? 65.5% of the world's population has access to the internet as of 2021. Hence, 34.5% don't. Can you imagine what it would be like not to have access to the internet? In fact, you could actually do a little bit of investigating on that and see what countries don't have it. You might be surprised. So the indicator for this will be the proportion of population covered by a mobile network by technology. So there we have 8 targets. Some very important issues there. Infrastructure, internet access, things that we can all relate to very easily. Financial services and credit, absolutely essential. Research, access to research and technology capacity, value chains, international approaches to supporting the least developed countries. We will explore all of these in more detail in the SDG 9 module block.